Are you ready to perform at your highest potential? Welcome to the Performance Matters podcast from GP Strategies, your talent transformation partner. In each episode, we'll interview industry experts and explore best practices and innovative insights to help your organization improve performance.
When learning and development professionals look at the year 2025 through the rearview mirror, what milestones will they see? What trends will have emerged that will have perhaps fundamentally shaped the way our profession adds value to the larger organization? That's the topic of today's discussion here at Performance Matters. I'm your host, Michael Thiel, and I'm pleased to be with you today, along with longtime friend of the show, GP Strategies Chief Learning and Innovation Officer, Matt Donovan, to explore this topic, the learning trends of 2025. Matt, welcome back, and I have to say, thank you for being here, and thank you for dressing so festively. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Glad to be here, and definitely excited. Looking forward to 2026. But before we get there, definitely want to enjoy the holiday season as well.
Yes, and for those that perhaps want to check out our vodcast version, Matt and I are dressed. I would say seasonally appropriate. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I did. Yep, absolutely.
Yep, I've got the Cousin Eddie hat on here. I'm going to try to make it through this entire session with this hat on. I live in Phoenix, so it's a little tough. And Matt, what's going on with your beard? I love it, by the way. But tell us about this thing.
I've been sporting. I think I did this the first holiday of COVID. I started to add a little extra flair to the learning trends videos we did. So I started adding the beard bling. So I've got a couple of Christmas ornaments hanging from my beard with a couple lights, and then one little jingle bell as well. So it's a nice reinforcement as I talk. You may hear a little jingling as it goes.
Yes. And you also might hear the footsteps of children in Matt's home. We are doing this remotely. That's one of the benefits here of the virtual studio. So if you hear that, just remember that's the joy of children in the Christmas time coming on here. But Matt, let's talk business here. We're talking learning trends. How many learning trends are you seeing overall? You're a global traveler, so tell us here, just give us the scoop. What are you seeing?
I think there's so many disruptions that are leading to the kind of resulting trends. There's a lot of them out there. As I've kind of crafted my conversation around this, I've narrowed it down to a handful, but I did want to kind of share, I think, 5 of them potentially with you today, but there's a lot more of that we're kind of seeing as it really gets nuanced. So it's never just one big wave of everything. It's like a whole series of waves cascading. So there's a whole set of trends that we're seeing out there, but I kind of boiled it down to a handful.
We're in a short attention span TikTok generation here. So even in the L&D world, we're trying to tighten things up. So you've got 5 for us. What's the first big one that you're seeing?
I think the urgency for transformation is still probably one of the most important, and it really aligns with what we're seeing in the businesses as well. The businesses and the corporations are organizing. They're trying to think of the right mix of tool, technology, workforce, and L&D is no different than that. Really kind of coming into how do we transform the L&D organization to continue to enable organizations to move faster, to help their workforce move from a human to a human plus AI, to be able to continuously transform and meet the new challenges coming out. So the urgency for transformation is, I think, increasing. I think we're still evolving towards what good exactly looks like for each organization, but knowing that we need to be something, be different, be more for next year is definitely across the board.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's a strong sense, and I would agree with this, that the old proverbial maxim of like the iceberg is melting, right? We're needing to migrate somewhere. Where is kind of the question, but everyone is aware of that. So that's a great point. Urgency's there. Let's go to number 2. What's the second one?
I think it's kind of one of the dimensions that's really driving that transformation is going to be AI. And it's the continued evolution of businesses as they go from having brought AI inside through a co-pilot or their own customized ChatGPT internally where they can use it with their own data. So using that to kind of do some of the things they did yesterday, moving into what we're calling the integrating, where we're really rethinking the work and the workflows as we move from a human to a human plus AI workforce and bringing in agentic AI to start to do this. So thinking of this as having agents or bots or a group of them orchestrated with a human team to be able to do the work differently than we had in the past. So it's really moving from just having brought it in and individuals are using it to actually rethinking the work. So moving towards that agentic AI enabling a human plus AI workforce.
That is a big one. And I almost feel like it's the kind of thing where when you are using AI tools in your dabbling and you get deeper into it, you start seeing the possibilities, and then you kind of start getting tired of starting over at square one, right? Writing a good prompt and you go, I see what's here. I need this to work faster for me. Is that basically where agentic is starting to get its grapple and toehold on the productivity mountain?
Yeah, and so I think the agentic approach, where you're actually having a fit for purpose, bot and a bot's not probably the best term, but I think it's one that I think a lot of people resonate with as they understand it. But it has a discrete purpose, and you have a collection of these bots that then can be paired or orchestrated together to achieve a workflow or an outcome with it. So thinking about how we use AI to do specific tasks. We're not trying to vertically just replace an entire role. I'm not trying to replace a marketing analyst. I bring in a human who will serve as part of the function of those key, the review, the approval, bringing in the lived experiences that make the marketing outputs really great, along with the AI that allows us to do it at scale, to bring in and generate, to automate, to do that. Those agents will be taking on individual tasks of what the marketing analyst as a human by themselves used to do. So you're kind of splitting that role and having a different range of agents do different parts of the work that an analyst used to do, and allow the human to move up into that chain. But that's where you have a collection of these agents in that vertical help come along and do that work. So it's thinking differently about how we accomplish that work to do it faster, better, or things we couldn't do before.
Absolutely. And I will say, as a testament of someone who is knee deep in AI workflow, there are things that I'm doing now that simply would not have been possible in a time-space continuum. Reviewing a mountain of content, making sense of it, and then being able to, as a human, add my creativity. It's really exciting there. So I will endorse number 2 wholeheartedly. What's number 3 on your docket? What are you seeing as a third trend?
I think one of the things that we're kind of really looking at as we move again within that AI or human to AI context, I call it the developing wisdom or nurturing wisdom in that, because if you think of AI bringing that intelligence, I've talked about the blend of human plus AI equals intelligence plus wisdom, and the humans to bring the wisdom component. We need the humans to be the humans we need them to be to really make human plus AI work. And I think it starts at what I call developing, nurturing, and enabling wisdom. And more than just saying, well, we create training or we build courses, what our goal is to bring in the lived experiences in these new worlds to be able to have who has the wisdom in the organization when paired with that scaled intelligence can actually deliver on those outcomes. So it's not just like, hey, we build learners. We are actually crafting and cultivating wisdom.
I think that's great. I know you have a great saying I've heard before about wisdom. It was something about what? A tomato? Can you refresh me on that one?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I borrowed this from a great rugby player out of Ireland, I believe, and he explained the difference between wisdom and intelligence. He says, intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in fruit salad. And so that's where the example of it is helping AI understand all this vast intelligence of knowledge, but the humans bringing in the ability to think forward. How would you apply that? When would you not apply it? To help interact with the AI to actually get better and smarter as it's going, as we continue to move in and do more with that. So it's a very important component, because I think the misnomer is people think that AI will automatically make the humans smarter. Think of it as something that will amplify what's there. So if you have a mediocre performer, AI will probably scale mediocre performance. With a wisdom and a high performer, AI will actually enable and allow you to spread the value of that wisdom broader. Now, in certain layers, it can compensate for certain things. We talk about like a call center, having like an AI agent coming along the way to help them, a new frontline call center agent to emote better, to connect better with the customer. I mean, those are areas where it makes sense. But when you get really to the more complex problems and a lot of the work that we do, you need to have that wisdom in place.
Absolutely. You need that wisdom to look at what AI has produced and say, that's good, that's not good. You need to know what to say to redirect. I mean, that is indeed wisdom that goes right in with your fruit salad analogy. So well done, and kudos to our rugby player from Ireland. I don't want them attacking me here there. So, okay, that's 3 down. What's trend number 4?
I've been talking about data for a long time. I think it's the continued evolution of not just that we know that data is important, but how we start to shape the data so that it really does enable AI and the humans to do the great things that we're hoping it will do. And the quality of the data, the structure of the data, the way in which we're processing and pulling it together, cultivating it, ensuring that it's continuously updated and evolving with the actual needs. That's the important part. So data as a force multiplier, again, is one of my continued themes, with the emphasis on we're actually getting better examples of how to do this. What's the better way to support that? One real quick example is having your data set up, and L&D sits on a ton of really great data, but being able to structure the data so that when AI looks at it, it knows the difference between a standard operating procedure and an emerging best practice. So if I were creating a learning agent to bring up content, if I'm a new employee, the standard operating procedure is probably more important for me than an emerging best practice. But if I'm a practitioner out here and I need to figure out how do I solve this problem or that problem, being able to have in the data set to know that that emerging best practice is probably more valuable than the SOP. So knowing that, we just have this ginormous data lake, we pull all that stuff into it, we need to help it structure it so that it can pick up on differentiations, that contextualization of when is this important, under what considerations. So when I draw from it to be applied or used in a learning or a performance situation, it's actually able to do it really well within that. So again, understanding your data, structuring it so that the AI can bring it forward, understanding and embracing the biases in the data set, like recency bias or formal to informal bias as you go through, which is better, more formal or informal. Actually, they're both important, but under different conditions. So anyway, we get more sophisticated, but we need to get better quicker, because as we expect more out of AI, we have to have the data in a way that's going to enable it.
I can see that here. Data as a force multiplier. If you think about it, how many new possibilities just in the past 2 or 3 years, things that seemed like the holy grail, something impossible, is now achievable when you're able to put data into a strong repository, a knowledge base, and be able to draw wisdom out of it. That's awesome. It's really exciting on that end. That's trend number 4. We promised our listeners 5 for this reflective session. We've got the hats and the holiday garb on. What's number 5, Matt?
Number 5 is going to come back to, one of the biggest importance is continuing to enable our leaders as they lead a workforce of both human plus AI. Again, I know I say that quite a bit, but it's even getting more into that spot to enable leaders not just to say, the battle was before to say, we need you to play with it to understand how to use it fundamentally. Like, you can't expect, it's an employee thing, not a leader thing. So, but it goes deeper than that. You actually need to become more intimate into when it works and when it doesn't work, and understand the limitations of its application. There's a phrase out there that talks about a frontier when we talk about technologies out there. And there are things that, imagine this curved line, and outside the frontier are things that the technology or whatever is not very good at. And then what's inside that is what it is good at. It's in its capability base. It does a thing. And historically, people kind of look at this nice, simple curve. And actually what they're finding with AI is this jagged frontier. So it's actually good at this and not good at that, but it's actually the line isn't nice and like this. It's actually a much more jagged frontier of what's in and outside of that line. And it's not always clear and predictable as to when it will be really good. So you may now see specialization into certain types of AI with certain types of data will yield a better outcome than just one big tool doing everything for everything that we've got out there. So that's also an important, which allows us to kind of really understand the strengths and the weakness of the AI tools that you have and how they're being employed. And this is the hard part, is that you don't have to be an expert down to the level that you're actually using them every day, but you do need to understand the strengths and weaknesses so you can help provide feedback and insights to the team when they're running into challenges, or be able to pull in resources to help kind of navigate the application of some of those AI to solve the problems you're looking at. So being aware of how you use that tool set is absolutely critical.
And I will say for point number 5 there, enabling leaders through AI, that I've just become aware of a fantastic new offering that GP Strategies has called Leadership AI that helps close this gap between leadership, awareness, comfort, and as you said, wisdom and true capability and skill there that the employees, that the workforce is really asking for and I'd say demanding from their leaders. So if you're listening, if you're curious, I encourage you to check out gpstrategies.com and check out our new Leadership AI offering. It's awesome. I'm going to personally dive into it and be part of the cohort, and I encourage you to do as well. Matt, now I appreciate you being so festive. I appreciate you taking your time here today. Any final thoughts for our listeners as we wrap up this festive session?
It's a moment of just, internal reflection. Look, for many of us, 2025 has been a bumpy, disruptive ride for us. And 2026 is going to bring a whole new set of exciting challenges with us. I think if anything, as we kind of take the opportunity to look at ourselves and practice some self-care, some self-wellness over the period here, it'll build you up to give you some of that reserve as you kind of come into 2026. So I think as though we look forward to the challenges and the opportunities and the trends that we're going to see, we can't forget that we got to take care of ourselves. Otherwise, we're going to run out of the energy to deal with the new challenges that we're seeing out there. So take the time, take care of yourself, take care of others as you're going. We're going to need that. We're going to need each other as we get through this.
Well said. And thank you so much for being a regular guest on the Performance Matters podcast. We appreciate you, and we wish you and your family the happiest of holidays.
Happy holidays to you as well.
The Performance Matters podcast is brought to you by GP Strategies. Together, we can create a world where business excellence makes possibilities achievable. You can subscribe to the show anywhere you get podcasts or listen on our website at gpstrategies.com.